And we're back with Richard Reviews. Today we are reviewing a book for richardreviews.com/Griffin Chestnut here on YouTube. Griffin Chestnut, of course, is Richard's online YouTube channel, which he's able to review all of his pieces, his movies, his music, and his technological advances through the YouTube videos he uploads on the second Tuesday of every week. Today's piece that Richard is reviewing for us is titled The Unabomber Manifesto, Industrial Society and Its Future by FC. This is the infamous Unabomber Manifesto that was released by Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber, who went under the subtitle of FC for reasons that Richard will explain in later on portions of this video and in future videos that Richard has also reviewed. Richard has read most of Kaczynski's works, not because he ultimately believes in what he has done, including the mail bombs, but ultimately because he thinks his notion of technological slavery has some credence to it and should not be taken lightly. This is becoming completely blind, and of course, around the year 1980, Richard wanted to cultivate this. Richard obtained this piece in 2014, and he also completed reading it in the year 2014. He did most of his outdoor work, including construction of his outdoor cabin, which ultimately was ironic considering the last few days of Ted Kaczynski's life, being living in the remote wilderness, almost like a hermit, living off the grid, which Randy Weaver and his family also tried to do before the ATF and FBI murdered Vicky Weaver and Samuel Weaver, Randy's son, of course atop Ruby Ridge, which ultimately led to Waco, the destruction of the Branch Davidians and David Koresh, also provoked by the FBI and the ATF as well. This is, of course, in no relation to this piece and Ted Kaczynski, but ultimately you can tell that they are slowly tied together in a form of a bonding corrosion that ultimately breaks the society of what stands to be an American in today's world. The individual and the philosopher also stand between, they reconcile the existentialists who work really hard, being a worker's man, working 9 to 5, being the drunk, stupid nature boy at the bar after every pigtail meal. The pigtail meal ultimately let the courts and the police decide who's working primarily for the next section. And if you're going to be the poster boy and the explosion child for the dolphins that swim around the Statue of Liberty, which does reside on Liberty Island, which is not too far away from Ellis Island, you will nonetheless be drinking Blue Velvets at the bar. After the work crew goes home to smoke cigarettes and lay with the wife, you manifest your indignation and disgust with the world, and you keep this document to show the police and the courts. Alright, it's no longer a delusioned, lonely historian named Ted Kaczynski, but it's now whoever reads this wants to believe in the industrial society and its future, which of course Ted Kaczynski strongly believes that it'll only bring doom to the world and its cataclysm end to what can happen in the society of this notion. A beautiful piece. Richard has good things to say about it. Unfortunately, Ted Kaczynski is a criminal. Richard does not condone any criminals, but he has to say that the mind behind Ted Kaczynski is not one to take lightly. He was a well-educated man, and his thoughts, even though a little outlandish, definitely deserve to be heard in terms of the future that this world can construct. He may have done some terrible crimes that got him locked up forever, but 50, 100 years from now, if this work is still around at that point, there very well could be a time where the authorities go back to this with the librarians and discover that there's some creed to this, even though the people that he had killed were perished long before then. As we take a look at this piece, we can see the notion from nipple to nipple, ear to ear, cring to cring, and brim to brim. Okay, it's a standard dialect piece, and it's in your basic form. It is a soft cover, and it's not very long either. It's a pretty short piece, but it's got great bend and good cream. Richard takes good pride in this cream, and there is good cream on this piece. Good shine and good bend. There is also no cream on this side, good cream on this side, and good cream on the top. On the side, there is literally nothing on the side. This is a rare edition here on Richard's standpoints, and the Unabomber is no exception. On the back, of course, we have a brief dialectic version of the unadulterated events, along with a barcode representing the fictional price that the journey of this modern man can take this artificial piece through the land of his victims. Okay, this is the small summary and synapse plot of what Ted Kaczynski is ultimately doing. He's serving a life sentence without parole in a federal maximum security prison because of his mail-order bombs that he decided was going to heavily weigh on the American government's heart, which probably had less of an impact than he originally intended. Unfortunately for him, his bombs never did do as much damage as he ultimately predicted because of his failed research on the topic, and he became much more of a celebrity because of his bad omen and his ultimate self-righteousness that got him locked away for the rest of his life. Now, as we take a look inside the piece here, this is Richard's piece, of course, so we have to take good care of it, but it is ultimately quite the endeavor into which we can cross out many names and go along with many pseudonyms in the works of Ted Kaczynski when he agreed that his 19th century political figure suddenly gave birth to his righteous existence, that feeling of nausea that he wanted to put his satire on was not only any other author he had intended to be, but strictly believing in the world without technologically advanced machines that would ultimately become nauseated or feeling sick of that matter. Now, of course, Edward Snowden, being the whistleblower on the NSA, ultimately had similar views at Ted Kaczynski, bringing apart the notion that if there was such a standard race card in the terms of the world, how would we be able to collect society with the way that technological is advancing as fast as it is? It's a strong question that Richard believes in, and it's something to definitely take to the books, and that's why Richard has done so. So at the end of this piece we have 98, so we can comfortably say the Unabomber Manifesto is a 100-page industrial society and its future by FC. It's a brilliant page, more along the town with the reason that he wakes up on. And it's got more, in other words, of keep on living and the notion of the Julabai. And the Julabai is an exception for this address because it basically shows that the detached present is what the revelation is all about. And that is how the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, of course, brings in the power into what the industrial society turns it into when you flip a switch and you get two claw fingers and you can slice one on the top and slice one on the bottom. You're going to be left with four, okay? And what are you going to do with four? The characteristics of these four, they have a smell and they have a color, and you can basically set it aside with this piece. So that's the Unabomber Manifesto, Industrial Society and Its Future, by FC, also known as Ted Kaczynski. This is Richard Reviews. Thank you.